Okay. Okay, we're good. Yes. Good morning. I get to say that for once. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls. How are we all doing today? That's right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, class. How are we all doing today? Oh my god, I don't have my windows up properly. There we go. Yes. Yes. Today I am both early and well, for good reason, right? One of our lovely sponsors, well, I say lovely, but I don't even know. Today we're going to be reviewing this keyboard, the Moonlander, whatever it's called, and yes, that's exactly why why we're sort of not at our usual time. It's because our sponsor decided he didn't want to join us at our usual time. So for once, I have to cater to we all have to cater to our customers, don't we? uh, our sponsor just told me to shut up because I got the keyboard for free. And yes, you're correct. Thank you very much. Um, to be fair, this keyboard isn't worth that much to you in the grand scheme of things. So you make that in what, like half an hour? Less than half an hour, I think. Yeah. Oh no, it was a little bit more than that. Okay, so not even half an hour is what you're saying. Okay, all right. Well, that certainly puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Yes. Well, here we are. Today we are going to simply continue talking about this keyboard for I don't know, half an hour to an hour. Um, I fully expect nobody to stay except for our sponsor, because obviously, he paid for it. If he leaves, I'll just shut down the stream. But the point remains. Today we're talking about this keyboard because our lovely sponsor has decided that he might perhaps want one. And so he wanted my opinion on it. So here we go. Well, okay, before I start, any questions? Does this mean there will be more Muses reviews? Yeah, I mean, could. If you want to provide the the piece of technology for me to review, I could absolutely review it. Just like, don't be surprised if I find fault with it all over the place. Yeah, okay, let's start. So, this keyboard in its current configuration is... Oh, I can't remember. Let me just double check. Oh, yes. Right. It is the Moonlander, and it's got the Kalia thick gold key, the switches. And so what that means is, for those of you who understand mechanical keyboards, that means that's sort of the equivalent of cherry blue switches, ish. They're a little bit lighter, I believe. But essentially, when you press down, they make a nice clicky sound. And when you come back up, they do they? Yeah, they also make a nice clicky sound. So for every key press you have two clicky sounds, and that, some people are really into that. Personally, I do enjoy that as well. It is it's a nice piece of history, right? If we put it that way. Yeah. Like, think of it as those very, very, very original mechanical keyboards that existed. Yeah, it's essentially those. Um, and so when you type, it's actually quite comfortable. Like I'm not going to deny, like I can type fairly well on this. And so the what's special, the USP of this keyboard? Well, I say USP. There's not much that is very unique. USP. USP stands for, as far as I'm concerned, unique selling point, right? So for any type of product, if you have a unique selling point, that's more likely to get people to buy your stuff, right? Like that's I think fairly self-explanatory. Uh, yeah. So the USP of this keyboard that technically I suppose you can consider it a USP. It folds very flat, and it does all of this nice ergonomic stuff, right? So it means you can tent it upwards so that you don't have to lay your wrists really flat against the table. You can you have these nice wrist rests that you can use, uh, and yes, and you have these special extra keys on the side, because normal ergonomic keyboards from like Kinesis, whatever, that company is fairly flat, right? So they just take a keyboard and split it apart, and that's it. Whereas this, they have their special thumb keys, and also the keys, if you can see, they are ortholinear, which means that they go straight up and down, right? So, I suppose I should have written this down. Yeah, sure. 1 second. And also, coincidentally, yes, I am going to be typing on this keyboard. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So USP, what was it? Old flat, like my gripes with the keyboard really aren't with the keyboard, but actually with the lifestyle. But we'll come back to that. Folds flat, very portable. Up and down finger movement. But what else did I say? Special. Ergonomic. Hinting. That's. Do we have anything else? Well, I guess variety of mechanical. And so in here we should make a note that it's both Chinese made and cherry. So cherry is the very is the own or no, let's put it that way. Cherry was the only mechanical switch maker for a long time, and then I can't even remember, like 10 to 15 years ago, there was a company that's called Das Keyboard, and so they made sort of, I'm of the opinion that at least they popularized mechanical keyboards, because they used cherry switches, and suddenly everyone wanted one, and it was all the hype, and so more and more people got into it. It used to be really expensive, and now like switches and mechanical keyboards are fairly commoditized, right? So the next big thing in keyboards for the keyboard nerds are these like split ergonomic designs. And no, this is not investment advice. Why would you want to invest? Okay, like you can't invest in a that's just wrong. You can't. Don't invest in a mechanical keyboard company. Come on, no, that's. I'm not saying the company is bad. Actually, the company is amazing. Like customer service and everything was top notch. Better than basically anyone I've ever really dealt with. So, So yeah, that's a plus. Um, but really, like in terms of the keyboard and how it works, it's nothing special. Like I'm probably going to go back to my K3 after this, um, just because it's I wouldn't say it's better, but it's the learning curve. Like let me talk about it in a few different ways. The learning curve is not bad. Like I don't think the learning curve is bad at all. Oh, what did they do with the K3? I was trying to find a picture of it. It doesn't even exist anymore. What? I'm so confused. Did they discontinue my keyboard? Oh, they might have. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So the company that I bought my keyboard from perhaps discontinued it, but that's fine. So I just wanted to show what my keyboard actually looks like. My keyboard looks like this, ish, right? Like it's this is actually much taller than my keyboard, but really like mine is much flatter. It uses flatter keys and flatter switches, and that means it's very very low profile. Anyway, okay. So all of that aside, the I guess the reason why our friend wanted me to review this is that he's technically an amateur coder and feels even though he his day job is lawyering it up, he's been talking about coding basically like ever since he joined the channel, right? Joined the class. So I am assuming the reason why he wanted me to talk about this was because he wanted to see whether this was a good coding keyboard. The answer is yes and no, as with basically every answer you ever ask me. Well, because it's quite nuanced, right? Like, oh, actually, let me see if I can find my layouts. I should be able to. Actually, I'll just print it out. Give me 1 second. Okay. Um, let me just print out or print a PDF of my layout, and then I'll explain. So the reason why this might appeal to someone who codes a lot, right, is that the keyboard itself is highly configurable. So let's say can I just drag the PDF? Yeah, okay. Oh, but is that the only page? It only give me one page? PDF pass through artboard, page 1, page 2. There we go. Okay. So this is a printout of the various layouts that I've had this keyboard in. Right. So of course I have my original, and this is probably why our friend decided that he needed me to review this, because in my day-to-day I use a Dvorak keyboard layout, and I'm also playing around with a left-handed Dvorak keyboard layout. So what this means is, because it's split up, I could theoretically not. Oh, I should put that in. We can only use left side, storing right. So we could theoretically say only use the left side of the keyboard. So like the left and the right connect via a how do you say? Left and right connect. Ooh, no, I don't want that. Go away. Go away. There we go. Connect via a cable, and it looks just like your speaker cable, and it basically is just like your speaker cable. And you could just completely unplug the right side and just use the left. And so that's what you see here, right? Like I had to adapt the left-handed Dvorak layout. Usually the Z key is actually here, but everything else is absolutely perfect. So you could use that, and then you could see that I also have left-handed Dvorak number pad and movement thing. And the way you switch between these layers is you have these little buttons here. on the bottom, right? Maybe I'll zoom in. Yeah, let's zoom in. So you can see that these buttons, they're labeled differently for one, and the reason is simply that they have multifunctions, right? So each key on this keyboard, um, the configurations of will the one provided by the company, but also the if you want to go real deep, you can actually change the firmware of this yourself. You can program it yourself. Um, the configuration software, at least for those, I guess, slightly uninitiated, the configuration software will let you configure this in a way that you can very much choose how each button works. And so that's what we're doing here, right? Like we have this is my normal everyday layout. You can see this is a very specific shortcut, Control Shift U, that I use. I'm not going to tell you for what. This is this is copy, cut, and paste. So depending on if I double tap this key, it'll copy. So let me do that right now. If I double tap this and then I hold it, you can see. Oh yeah, okay. You can see that I've pasted it. How much is that? 5 times, right? So with this, you can do a lot of very interesting things. Right? Like you can customize it exactly how you want, exactly what you will do with it. So that's how I get from the left hand only Dvorak layout to the left hand number layout. And then also I have one of these, which will actually put me into, not this one, page 4. Yeah. And so this puts me into stenography mode. So interestingly enough, I had just been reading about stenography, and when the keyboard arrived, it made a lot of sense. And they had already added in the specific stenography keys. So yeah, like you can program it in any real way that you want, right? So in this case, I have these stenography keys, and so the idea is I can switch between normal Dvorak layout and then stenography layout as I'm practicing, and it makes things all nice and happy and comfortable, etc., etc. Yeah. What is stenography? Stenography is the idea that you can use that you type not using spelling but using sound. Welcome to the stream, Fred. One of your classmates sent me this keyboard. Actually, let's bring it up again. Sent me this keyboard, or rather, he bought me this keyboard, and wanted me to review it so that I could tell him whether it's worth it for him to use or not. So we're talking about this now, and of course, I'm going to go on my tangents. One of which that we're going to talk about right now is stenography. So again, stenography is typing not with characters, not with spelling, but with sound, right? So this is especially interesting in English because you can sort of just remove most of the vowels and you can still know what a word is. So for example, if I wanted to type the word tap, right? Here it would still be TAP, like this. No, there will be no nudes. But if I wanted to type something slightly more complicated, you could imagine that I could type spelt, right? SPELT, or what were those examples? Let me go back and look at them. Just so I have some very nice ones to talk about. A long word. Let's say yes. Actually, let's say scuffled. So normally scuffled would be SCUFFLED, but here all you would have to do is SKUFLD, right? So you would have scuffled. If you wanted it in the present tense as in scuffle, you would just do SKUFL, and you don't have to type each character once at a time. You just hold all of the characters down. So I would hold the SKUFL UFL key, and once I let go, the word scuffled appears. Oh, my poor, our poor classmate Brett is. Are you confused? But essentially, what this stenography allows you to do then is it allows you to type really, really quickly, right? Because if you get used to typing like this, you hold down your yeah. Actually, what am I saying? Yeah, half of you are lawyers. So when you're in the courtroom, the clerks, the ones that actually take, I can't remember what they're called. The clerks that actually take all of the notes, they are definitely using stenography because it's just faster, right? You can get up to 200 words per minute with it simply because you essentially because it's faster. And I will say that I am learning this because it is faster for a very good reason, because a lot of the time like you can hear how quickly I'm speaking. My thought process is actually faster than. So a lot of the time, like these days, I will occasionally dictate into my laptop to write things quicker. But that's still not as fast as I would be if I could type at 150 to 200 words per minute. So if I could type that quickly, well, for you, Brett, I think it's good to be slower. For me, I have a lot I need to get done in a day. So if I could like get through an email in 3 seconds instead of a minute and a half, that would be amazing, right? And I don't want to type in shorthand because that's just not cool. Like all of my peers type in the most retarded like shorthands, and I hate them for it. I remember when Travis, oh, what's his last name? Kalanick, I think. Yeah, Uber. Oh, I can't. Well, no, I can talk about this part. When he was first ousted from Uber, um, they released some of his own of some of his emails and stuff, and it just showed this bro that didn't know how to type properly, and that's perfectly fine. I just don't think that that's very cultured, right? And you know, I have to bring back some amount of a class to the tech executive. So yeah, like if I could type using stenography, I would very much love that. Anyway, so that's enough of that particular tangent. Let's go back to the keyboard itself. So the company that sells this has a very nice, very nice interface for configuring it. Essentially, what you it's literally just as you see in the PDF here. Let me go back to page 1. Oh, can I do the whole document? I can. Excellent. Oh. No, I can't. No, I can't. That apparently crashed my designer. Okay, let's try again. Can I do the whole document? No. Okay. That's good to know. Okay, let's get it back. The point is you can customize it just by clicking on things, and you don't even need to download specific. Oh, you need specific software to load whatever your configuration is onto the keyboard, but you don't actually need to download proper software to actually configure it. Like you can do that very well on a website and then just download the compiled file, and they have their own tool that'll load it onto the keyboard for you, and it's really user friendly and very good. So that's why I was able to make all of these, you know, really quickly. I got this keyboard on Friday, and I like it's been okay. I don't mind it. But I also like I said, right? I don't think it's for me for a lot of very normal reasons, I guess I want to say, because and here we're going to get into all of the That's right, Brad. You got to stab them with a baguette. Uh, no, but actually, before I go on to talk about the downsides of this keyboard, I do want to just mention um, about my fellow tech executives. They are mostly not bad people. They are mostly just, like they are. I will say this: they are people who have. I should let me note this down because this is going to be important in the future. Um, what time is it? It's 25, 40, 40. In defense of the tech executive. There we go. Like they are just dude, right? Like they're just dudes that happen to be successful in a sector that has a lot of money, that has a lot of venture money, that has a lot of old and new money, and a lot of average people's money. And so the unfortunate side effect of that is that when you inundate dudes with what amounts to be free money for money. Oh, thank you, Brett, my friend. Well, that's exactly my point. Earlier when I said I want to bring back some class to the tech exec, right? Like they are just dudes, and I feel bad for them because they never had a chance to be anything different, because they are trying. It's like those child actors that grow up into trashy people, right? Like they never had a chance to be anything different because everyone around them continue to egg them on, to encourage them, and they slide down into this vortex of thinking that they themselves are God. They slide into this vortex of messiah complex, of almost I would call it almost hedonism, but most importantly, they have just too much money, right? And they don't know what to do with it, and blah blah, and stuff like that. And our private school classmates will know that, like in my case, I did things differently with my earnings. I unfortunately can't and won't talk about it to the public school classmates because I just can't. But suffice it to say, like that's exactly why I did things differently, because otherwise we would or I would have gotten pulled into the same kind of lifestyle, and I didn't want to go down that route, right? Like I've had plenty of examples of this kind of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the keyboard. Let's talk about what is my job, Fred? Because that is very important, right? Like, is my job here to talk to the private school classmates? Is my job here to share the wonders of the world with all of our public school classmates? Because it's actually kind of interesting. I would actually love it if we had more public school classmates who are listening to me and listening to sort of a more dispassionate, but also a more can I say a little bit more non radicalized version of what tech can be, right? Because if you listen to tech pundits, if you read tech reviews, all of those people, all of those journalists are very much their entire livelihood depends on reviewing things. And so their entire livelihood depends on critiquing and reviewing, and so if they have a mild opinion doesn't get them paid properly, right? And so by its very nature, reviews and all of that will elicit stronger opinions simply because they need to find stuff. They need to find stuff to critique, or they need to find stuff to fanboy about. And so that's why the tech industry as a whole has become quite radicalized in that I am going completely off tangent. Long story short, Brett, if you want to help me find more people who can be your public school classmates, please, by all means, I would love that very, very much. That is what I'm trying to say. Okay? Okay. Yes, I don't want to talk to you guys in the private school class anymore. Thank you, Brett. Okay, let's go back to the keyboard. So once you have all of these keys sort of assigned, you have done all of that properly, then you can, you can move on and use this type of keyboard in any way you want, right? So in my case, I have the key for stenography bound to this keys, and once I switch to that layer, this key is empty, so that I don't accidentally press it and go somewhere else. And so, yes, yeah, I'm getting to that. Yeah, so you can bind not only keys like this, not only keyboard presses, but you can bind whole macros, right? So, for someone who is an amateur programmer, I guess, and wants to get much deeper into programming, you could imagine that. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's keyboard now. You can imagine someone who's really into programming. You have your first layer of your keyboard layout, and then your second layer could be a whole bunch of very useful programming shortcuts, right? You could literally. I think actually no, I don't know if you can, like, for example, you can't put the structure of a C++ header file into a single button. I think there's a limit on how many keys that they would let you macro at once, which means that like, but if you want like a short sentence, for example, not short sentence, a short word, I certainly think you can macro up a short word that you then never have to type again, right? Like you just hit that specific button and then it'll come up. How do you switch between layers? Oh yes, that's a good question. You have a few methods of switching between layers. Let me show this one. So between Dvorak left and in page 2 we have the Dvorak number. These are both on the same hand on the same keyboard. Oh, okay, cool. We'll just do that this way then. And then down here you will see I have a key that's labeled backspace plus number, right? And so what that means is if I tap that key, it's backspace. But if I hold that key and I continue hold it, my keyboard switches to this layout. And as long as I hold that button, as long as I hold this key, it will remain in this layout. So you could imagine I could hold the key with my thumb and then use my index finger to type some amount of numbers, and my middle finger to do the navigation. Coincidentally, it says up plus home and down plus end because if you tap, it's up. If you press and hold, it goes to it enters the home key. Same thing down here, right? So that's one way you can switch to a new layer. Another way you switch is if you just strictly bind a key to go to a layer. In this case, I talked about that this goes to my stenography layer, so it goes here. I just tap it once and it goes here, and it stays here permanently until I tell it to change, and I do that by hitting 2-0. So 2-0 brings me back to layer 0, which is the everyday Dvorak layout, right? Poor Brad. I mean, you're always free. You're always free to ask more questions, please, by all means. Your private school classmates are not. They're always busy talking amongst themselves, and out of how many people do we have? Out of 183 people, I can promise you only like 8 people are listening, even though they're all tapped into to the broadcast. I can tell you that at least 50 of them have me on mute. Guaranteed, 50 of them have me on mute. The other 130 are talking amongst themselves, or just reading, or just listening, or reading different reports, responding to emails, and there are like 8 people who are actually listening. Which is, it's part of the course, right? Like, that's what you do with a stream to begin with. So, yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's. You don't want me to stop talking. Why is that? While Brett responds, we'll just continue. But yeah, so you can change those layers like that. You also have a button that says, "Oh, I want to switch that. I want to switch to a different layer for a single key press." But of course, that I feel like is just, yeah. I don't exactly. I don't particularly know why that's necessary if you can just press and hold, right? Obviously, you might have a very unique scenario where you have the same key that's bound on a different layer that you really want to use. But in that case, like, honestly, you should just bind it somewhere else. You don't want me to stop talking because stuff. Okay. All right, good. Good to know. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. We're what? Changing layers. We've talked about changing layers. How do I like it day to day? And here is where my most interesting criticism comes in, and that is the keyboard itself is incredibly well built. It's fantastic. Like, build quality is fantastic. The keys themselves, the plastic, the PBT that they use to make the keycaps, fantastic. There's no flex in anything. All these little hinges that you see here, absolutely fantastic. The problem is in the use case. and that's kind of the biggest problem. In this picture here, you can see that I have left the mouse in the center. And that's because when you use split keyboards, the idea is to use them split apart so that your arms don't have to come together, that your shoulders can sit backwards, so that you can so that you're sitting in a more ergonomic position, right? And if you were only using your keyboard, that would be great. But in this day and age, we can't. Nobody uses just their keyboard for anything, because there are just certain things that are just a lot easier if you just move the mouse once. And that's the problem with this keyboard. Fundamentally, with this keyboard. Oh, cute, Brett. Thank you very much. Fundamentally, the problem with this keyboard is that the use case means that we cannot use it in the most ergonomic way. So if I were to use it like this, with the keyboard split apart, I would have to keep my mouse either in the center here or on the right side. And I'm moving it back and forth now. And it just doesn't. It puts pressure on the shoulder, right? Because now, if you have the mouse in the middle, you're always your whatever shoulder. If you use it with your right hand, if you use it with your left hand, it's always going to put pressure on that. If you put the mouse on the outside, then you have the same kind of pressure that you would have if you have a gigantic keyboard, right? You remember those? Everyone remembers those keyboards that have like full QWERTY layout, the arrow keys, and then the number pad at the end. Why not beside it? It's the same thing beside it. So if I have this mouse here, the problem is that because right now my arms are straight if I'm sitting like this. So actually, let me just real quick draw some fake arms. Like if I have my arms like this, they are straight and very ergonomical, and that's great. Oh, I'm on the wrong layout. There we go. And that's great, but that means no matter where I place my mouse, my arm is at a bad position for mouse usage. It's great for keyboard usage, but it's bad for mouse usage. And so if for someone like me who has to go back and forth between the mouse and the keyboard a lot, that means I give up the fundamental benefit that this split keyboard provides. Literally the reason why this is well, no, it's not that I don't have enough space. I have plenty of space on the right. It's that if my mouse is over here and I'm actually holding it over here right now as I'm speaking to you, my mouse is right here, it means my entire elbow has to turn outwards so that my arm can reach outwards. If I have it in the middle and I just moved it to the middle, it means that my entire elbow has to, my shoulder has to turn inwards to keep the mouse here. Because the ideal position for the mouse is actually here, right? The ideal position for the mouse is here. So if I keep the two keyboards together, such that, so if I move this white piece over to this side so that I can have the mouse here, then the keyboard, oops, what happened here? Oh, okay. Then the keyboard itself, like I lose the benefit of it being a split keyboard, right? And so that is the fundamental question. More fundamental than whether the build quality is good or not. It's that, can you figure out a use case where you can do this where you can use your ergonomics properly, right? And for me, the disappointing part is that I don't think I can. Just because my particular use case for keyboards is a little bit like, I don't ever just use the keyboard. I always use my mouse at the same time. And so that means I have to, like, to be comfortable, I have to keep the mouse here. And so, yeah, and this is again going back to our sponsor. If you find that you can do it like that, if you find that you do have you can find a use case for this. In particular, actually, I think if we replace the mouse with a touchpad, for example, if I put my Wacom drawing tablet in the middle here, I could see that being slightly more interesting, right? Because then my arms would yeah. Ugh, 1 second. Then my arm wouldn't have to go all the way over here. Instead, it could just go down here, and that in itself, I know it doesn't seem like a big difference, but it does make a huge difference. Are you alright, Brad? Right. So if my arm were here, you can literally, like, as you're sitting there, and I'm saying this to everybody. You can literally sit there and try it right now, right? Like, put your hands exactly where you think these two keyboards would go, with your forearms pointing straight forward at the monitor, and then move it to the right to simulate the ability of using a mouse, and then move it to the left to simulate the ability of using a mouse in the center of this keyboard, and then move it so that your hand is right down here, and you'll find that down there it's actually kind of comfortable. But if you need to move it, if you need to stretch in this direction or in this direction, you'll find that it is not quite comfortable, right? So that's kind of the idea. Oh, actually, I'm going to change the colors. This is comfortable. This is uncomfortable. There we go. Okay. Does that kind of make sense? Is this my only complaint? In terms of complaints, I might have a few more. I do have some complaints about, I guess, the software and the raison d'être of the software, and that's uh, did you just check, Brad? Because that's really cute. Thank you. um, the raison d'être of a keyboard like this. Not just the ergonomic issues, but also let's talk about. Beforehand, we had talked about holding a button down, and then each button essentially having 4 different modes because you can switch between tapping it twice, hold, or tap and hold. Sorry, Brad. What do you mean? What? Yeah, so you can switch between those 2 modes, but the problem is, of course, the firmware itself has to make allowances for these modes. So I find that if I use a press and hold mode, for example, like this, like these types, uh, yeah, I don't know what that emote is. um, so I find that if I use press and hold with this type, it makes the entire keyboard less responsive. I originally had the V plus copy up here as well. Or no, not V plus copy, but obviously like these are the normal buttons for CV, XCV, so cut, copy, paste. So I would have Q plus cut, J plus copy. Why do you have those emotes? And K plus paste. But the moment I added them in, I find that these keys respond a little bit, a little less, a little less consistent, right? So, and that's for 2 reasons. The first is you can set how long in milliseconds you want the hold to be before the keyboard will recognize it as you're holding the button. And so that becomes a trade-off between, do you want to hold for a longer time, or do you want the keyboard to sometimes think you're holding the key when you meant to type it? And in my case, I always bias myself towards the latter case, where I want to hold for as little as possible, but that means then that keys like this, Q, J, and K, they tend to sometimes get stuck because the software thinks that you're holding when you're not, right? And that is a very big menagerie of emotes. Is that Paimon I see down there? Yes, it is Paimon. Excellent. That's the only one I recognize out of all of them. Right, yeah, because I actually played Genshin on stream, didn't I? And then I never heard from the Genshin Impact Corporation ever again. So perhaps we should put some money there. Yeah, let's play that again. I'm fairly certain we are literally like an hour into that game. Yeah. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, which is, yeah, if you hold the keys down, then or if you have the keys down in hold mode and your hold mode is too slow, well, obviously then the keyboard will respond just fine. But the problem is, then whenever you go to do these, hold and do something keys, then you're just going to be like, it throws off the pacing, right? And it's certainly not the manufacturer's fault. I don't think it's anyone's fault except, I guess, my own. And so, oh wait, what? Okay, there we go. Okay, I got confused for a moment. Yeah, it's no one's fault except my own for. Yes, it's all my fault. Thank you very much. You want to see me move? Oh, you mean the what the frick? Uh Oh yeah, my avatar. Yes. Well, that's unfortunately because my avatar is literally just a picture, and technically not even a copyright safe picture. So I am thinking of actually making my own avatar and then actually linking that properly to a camera and stuff. But that's gonna take forever because I never have time to do it. But we'll look into it. Of course it's real. Don't be silly. Of course I'm real. I'm definitely a real person. uh, anyway, what was I talking about? I can't remember for the life of me. Oh yes, the press and hold things. And again, right, like that. Even that is very much a personal thing. If you just like with ergonomics, if you can find a way that it works for you, then great. Uh, in my use cases up until now, I haven't found a proper use case for it, and that's unfortunate. But it's not like it doesn't mean we'll give up. I'll continue to use this keyboard for another month at least, and but I don't see that particular like those two particular issues changing. The first is the more important is the ergonomics. The less important is and you know, like you guys can see from the layout that I've essentially worked past that, right? There is very little press and hold stuff that's going on. Really the only one I have is the one that goes to the movement layer, which I never use. Oh well, no, I do use it sometimes because I use the function keys. I have the function keys defined here. Oh my god, you are so cute. We can consider at least two of those. I mean, oh, Brett, that comment. Our administrator just copied that comment onto the private class Discord, and I didn't know she was reading. I didn't know she was reading the Twitch chat, but she was, and she copied that comment onto the Discord, and now everyone is saying that, you know, like, oh, Muses, you have long hair anyway, so might as well. The answer to that particular point is an unfortunate no. Um, I will, we will. My avatar definitely will be, I think, a nice suit of some sort, and perhaps some sort of hint of demonic presence. So maybe some minimalist horns sticking out of my head, like, you know, the rest of the body is the rest of the avatar is, you know, fully realized in two dimensions with, you know, proper hairs, face, suit, tie, and everything. But then I'll just draw like two very minimalist, very faded triangles on top of my head that'll and it'll either look like cat ears or horns, and people can make of that what they will. Also, I will have you know, Red, that there are some very feminine. I know some very feminine. I know some very feminine girls with short hair. Actually, I will say that. So, and actually, no, not just girls. I know some very feminine people with short hair. It's not a no trap. See, now that I know that what that word means, and I see it all over the place now, and every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, really? Is this what people are thinking? Ugh. Well, no, there's no ugh at the end. It's just like, it's genuinely not something I've ever considered. So it's just like, it's genuinely quite interesting. Quite interesting. I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. If you are able to help expand the channel, I'll consider it. Invite lots and lots of people in, and so that I don't have to listen to all of these private school assholes. Oh, forgive me. Private school classmates. then we might try. But until then, no. And it would only be very rarely. Anyway. You would sponsor it? I please don't. Please don't sponsor it. Can you imagine? No, no, you can't, man, no. Don't worry, Brett. I know you don't know how, and that's why I said it, because I knew it'd be fine to say it. Yeah, I'm just teasing. I don't think it's something that actually might be interesting, but not. Well, it might be interesting because one of we have quite a few private school classmates that are for whatever no, I didn't. It's not a trick, it's truth. Like it would get you out of your comfort zone and help you grow as a person, and you would accomplish a goal that you wanted to accomplish. So I think it's the true definition of win-win, right? Like at least to me, a lot of the modern kids, both people below and above the year of 18, tend to be a little bit more restricted and a little bit more shut in than I think than it was the case 20 years ago. Like obviously I'm not that old, so I'm technically also in the latter group, but I've because of who I am, I've never really been the type to sit in front of my computer for 10, 12 hours a day. I've always been out and about, either going to class or chasing after whatever hobbies I had at the time. And so I'm firmly of the opinion that a little bit of challenge like that. How many people I want? Well, what make me the world's biggest streamer? No, no, no. Just I don't. Oh, okay. No, the point remains. The point that I was laboriously trying to get to is that I am firmly of the opinion that people can choose to can be challenged to do more than they already do, right? Like a lot of my biggest successes came from being challenged. In fact, there's one person in the private class that really did, when I first started out, was such a treated me quite terribly. Because he thought that I was just some millennial, or not millennial, Gen X, that Gen Z. I was just some Gen Z that he could be pushing around. I like how we have classmates in the private school and Brett asking literally the same question at literally exactly the same time. If the demand is there, I will say this: if the demand is there, I will meet the demand. Yes, absolutely. So the answer is yes. But but really, the whole point of this was to say that we should be challenging our comfort zones. And okay, fine, I'll challenge mine. If that means, Red, in your case, you'll challenge yours, and if that means our friend in the private class whose name ends in IC, in IC, you will also challenge yours. And yes, for you too, our friend whose name ends in AF. I'm not gonna list all of you since all of you decided to jump in right now, right? Like, yes, if the idea is even when you're old and about to die, you should still be challenging yourself. Uh, and that's just how we should be living as a human, because then if we can we can only progress if tomorrow's better than today, if we learn more today to make tomorrow even better, right? If we only, and that's why I only stream an hour a day, but yes, because I do have a lot of other stuff I do. Oh, for reference, Brett, I don't know if you've looked at the links that are on Twitch that I put there, both to my art repository, to my subreddit for writing, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Um, it's just a collection of things that I've done in the past. Yeah, and again, the question is, what was the question? Oh, keyboard. No, the question wasn't the keyboard, but I'm going to go back to the keyboard. Okay, I will say this. I can understand why our public school students are so, I guess, interested in seeing me make a trap avatar. I don't know why a bunch of 50, 40, 50, and 60-year-old dudes are saying this. Unless you are all admitting to your own perverse fantasies that which I don't think is the case. I think you just want to see me suffer. Which, I mean, fair enough. That is fairly reasonable thing to do, because that is what most of you have tried to do to me. Yeah. Yes, I remember you trying to buy out my company. Yes. I remember also that you failed really, really hard and wasted a lot of money on it. So, tough luck. So your revenge is watching my YouTube avatar, my streaming avatar, dressed like a girl. I mean, if that makes you happy, as we've said, right, put your money where your mouth is. We're doing this the Citizens United model. Yes. Okay. Well, we are done for today. I think we've covered everything about this keyboard I really wanted to talk about. It is an excellent keyboard. Don't get me wrong. It's excellent, except for those two things, right? I forgot to write those two down. First, ergonomics plus mouse. One quick second. Are you still on that, bro? Let's just let's call it personal questions. The first is ergonomics plus mouse, and the second is hold timer for secondary. How do you say secondary key? Yeah, we'll put it that way. We'll a bit smaller and hold that. So if the conclusion is, if you are able to get past these two issues, this is an excellent keyboard. Having said that, of course, there are other excellent keyboards that can do basically the same thing. So there's not much else there. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you insist, yes, we can. I do believe that we have a review of the Galaxy Fold 3 not next week, the week after, because I'm only getting it on Friday. Yeah, because someone apparently worked it out with our administrator during this broadcast, and she literally just told me. So I guess we can look forward to that. Yeah. So the week after, I will give my review of the Galaxy Fold 3, and then we can talk about other types of reviews if that's what you guys are interested in. Cool? Cool. Yes. So tomorrow we are actually going to do Go again, because we haven't in a while, and I missed that game. But that's it for today. Yeah. Any last minute questions? Okay. Oh, I don't mean today. I don't mean today, Brett. Don't try it today. It's not. It's a long-term project. It's a long-term project. I like that you were doing that in exactly the same time as one of our private school classmates asked me what kind of trap I would be. I didn't know there were kinds. And I will not. I mean, I could probably install a voice modulator, but that doesn't feel like that. That feels like it'd be cheating. So I would still be using my own voice. Oh, that's okay. No worries. Thank you, Brett, my friend. Don't force it. It appears that this is going to happen. I suppose somehow, sometime they'll raise enough money to force me to do it. Um, of course, having said that, as with everything, public 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 school classmates requests come first, right? So, or rather, not come first. They hold greater value. So, for example, uh, if our friend Bread wants me to play some game, if our other friends, do we have? Oh yeah, we still have a bunch of lurkers. Hello, lurkers. I love you guys. If everyone wants me to play some sort of game that I haven't, or that I've played in the past but haven't because it wasn't sponsored by the private school classmates, you can always speak up and let me know. Yeah, absolutely. I'll play, because like it's the public school classmates are no, the private school classmates are always there. They have no other choice. They have to be here. There's no one else that'll stream like I do for them. Uh, so it's to them I am a monopoly. Yes. Yeah. Why didn't you write to the FTC and see if the Federal Trade Commission will come and shut me down because I run a monopoly? How about that? Yeah. That's not how this works. You know that very well. That, like, it's not my fault that nobody else that's like me is streaming. So there you go, right? If that's right, Brett. They have to stay there. They don't have another choice. They if they try to leave, we'll smack them on the head with a baguette. I like how the first response to kidnapping and threatening to hit you with a hard piece of bread is to not complain to the police or the FBI, but rather to complain to the FTC that I'm subverting the free market. That is very That is very you. Uh, for reference, for anyone who doesn't understand, FTC is the Federal Trade Commission. It it oversees monopolies. It oversees it essentially tries to make sure that competition in the market happens fairly. That companies don't unfairly try to um, lock in their users so that they can't go anywhere else. And in the past year or two, we've seen these U.S. institutions become a little bit more active vis-a-vis the big tech companies, right? So FTC has, as both FTC and SEC have lawsuits ongoing against Google, Facebook, Apple, all that good stuff. And so the fact that our friend, in the private, our private school classmate, decided that my threat of locking them in and kidnapping and threatening them with stale bread should go to the FTC as opposed to the police or even the FBI is very telling on what kind of person he is and what kind of thing he actually not just he. I didn't even realize so many. Anyway, okay, no, we're done. That's it for today. Today we're already 10 minutes over. Thank you very much for watching. Any last minute questions before I cancel this stream, or I get canceled, or things get canceled? I don't even. No, excellent. Okay. No, I'm not going to. We're not going to talk about that. We might talk about it offline, but not here. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Remember, tomorrow we're doing it's over before random people. Well, no random people usually come to my streams because they're really not attention grabbing, right? Like nothing I do is like shocking and that's the whole point of my existence here, is that I am aiming to be not just wholesome but also calm, right? And nice. Well, you were random, and you were one of the few random people that dropped in and stayed. We do have one or two lurkers that are wonderfully that I see occasionally, and I love you all for it. Thank you very much. And that's it for today. Yes. In conclusion, please download Firefox. Please don't use Google Chrome because we see how terrible Google is as a company. And that's it for today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.